Okay, let's talk about a huge shift that's coming to the Malaysian business landscape. I mean, a really big one that's going to redefine corporate responsibility and risk for the rest of this decade. So let's dive right into this evolution and figure out what it really means for your company's future. Mark your calendars, because starting in August 2025, the way we've all been doing business, well, it's just not going to cut it anymore. And this isn't just another piece of red tape. We're talking about a fundamental change in what investors, customers, and the government expect from you. So the real question for every leader listening right now is, are you actually prepared for what's coming next?
So what's the engine behind this massive change? It's a powerful new national framework, and trust me, every single business operating in Malaysia needs to get up to speed on this.
At the very heart of all this is the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, or as you'll hear it called, the NAPBHR. Think of it as Malaysia's official roadmap for ethical business from 2025 all the way to 2030. It's all about weaving human rights right into the DNA of corporate governance, bringing us in line with the highest global standards, the UN guiding principles.
And listen, this is not some small-time initiative. It has the full backing of the Prime Minister's Department, SUHAKAM, and even the UNDP. When you see that kind of high-level collaboration, you know this is a serious, unified national commitment to making our economy fairer, more transparent, and frankly, more competitive on the world stage.
To really get a handle on the NAPBHR, you've got to understand how it's built. It all rests on three core pillars that spell out the duties of the state, your business, and the justice system.
It's actually pretty straightforward. The framework is built on three core ideas. First, the state has a duty to protect its citizens from any business-related abuses. Second, companies have a responsibility to proactively respect human rights in everything they do. And third, if something does go wrong, there has to be a clear and effective way for victims to get help.
Now, Pillar 2. This is the one we really need to zoom in on. This is where the framework is talking directly to you, to the private sector. It makes it absolutely clear that every single company, I'm talking the biggest multinational corporations down to the smallest local SMEs, has a mandatory responsibility to respect human rights. And not just inside your own office, but across your entire value chain.
Okay, so this brings us to a really crucial step. You have to figure out where your company is today versus where it needs to be by 2025. And that means taking a very honest look at some pretty common corporate policies.
Just think about your current policies for a second. Do they really, truly meet this new standard? Or are there some hidden gaps you might not have even thought about?
This table shows the gap perfectly. You see this all the time, right? Lots of companies have a general code of conduct, which is great, but the NAPBHR is asking for a dedicated, board-approved human rights policy. Your risk assessments, they might be focused only on finance and legal, but now you need to be doing integrated human rights impact assessments. And that internal-only whistleblower hotline, it has to be opened up so that external people, like the local community, can access it too. This is a whole new level of accountability.
I know. Seeing those gaps can feel a little daunting. The question isn't if you need to act anymore, it's how. And that's exactly where having a strategic partner becomes so important. At Humanology, we've laid out a clear, actionable 12-month roadmap designed to not only get you compliant, but to actually turn this into a real competitive advantage, one that attracts investment and the best talent.
We kick things off with Phase 1, building a rock-solid foundation. In those first 3 months, we work right alongside you to get your board and management team totally aligned on why the NAPBHR is so strategically important. Then we draft that critical human rights policy and set up the internal team or committee to drive it all forward. Next, Phase 2 is where we do the deep dive. From months 4 to 6, we roll up our sleeves and conduct a really thorough gap analysis. We perform robust human rights due diligence, or HRDD, to pinpoint high-risk areas in your operations and your supply chain, and we map out all the stakeholders and vulnerable groups connected to your business. All right, in Phase 3, we take everything we've learned and we integrate it into the business. This means updating your vendor contracts, training your people on what responsible business conduct looks like, and launching that accessible grievance mechanism. This is all about embedding respect for human rights into your day-to-day operations, making it just part of how you do business.
And finally, Phase 4 is all about making it stick. In the last stretch, we set up clear KPIs so you can measure your success. We stress test your new access to remedy process to make sure it actually works for people. and we help you integrate everything beautifully into your annual ESG report to build that crucial trust with investors and customers. Because look, a plan is just a piece of paper if you can't prove it's working, right? So how do we measure success? It's about getting beyond policy documents and tracking real, tangible outcomes that show your commitment and build serious value.
Let's talk about your supply chain. We aim for nothing less than 100% sign-off from your Tier 1 suppliers on your new Human Rights Code of Conduct. This sends a powerful signal up and down the chain that you mean business, creating a much more resilient and ethical supply network.
And when it comes to grievances, success isn't just about closing cases. It's about the quality of the resolution. We track the percentage of cases that are solved through mutually agreed remedies, because that's what shows the system is seen as fair and effective by everyone involved.
And this is completely non-negotiable. When it comes to protecting the people who have the courage to speak up, there is only one number that's acceptable: 0. A zero-tolerance policy on whistleblower retaliation is the absolute bedrock of any system built on trust and transparency. Period.
So when you pull back and look at the big picture, towards 2030, this whole journey is about so much more than just following new rules. It's really about building an organization that is fundamentally stronger, more resilient, and more respected.
This quote just sums it all up perfectly. This isn't about paperwork or just checking a box to stay out of trouble. This is your chance to build a real, lasting legacy of trust with your own people, with your investors, and with the entire Malaysian community.
The road to 2030 doesn't start in a few years. It starts today. Let Humanology be your strategic partner on this critical journey. We've got the expertise to help you turn these national standards into your own unique competitive advantage. Let's build a fairer, more resilient future together.